I've actually leveled up a bit this week. I'm feeling pretty good today. I was playing with Dan a bit, but I'm much more of an ultimate player than a melee player.
Yeah, and then if you count like Zane as being one of us, Zane is the best here.
After this week, Zane is one of us.
Pengu.
1000%.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't even know if he chose the username Pengu before TFT came out.
Oh, he did. Yeah. It's like an
okay.
OG Smash name, I think.
Yeah, no, it totally is. So it's just funny because we do have our own Pengu as well.
Yeah, maybe Mort named Pengu after him. Actually, Zane, let's get in touch. We might have a solid copyright infringement claim against Riot Games. Let's go get the bank, baby.
That's right. That's right. All right, so we're hopping on board with Kiyun for TSM. He had a threat level maximum game. I just think he hit a little bit too late. I think his HP count was too low.
Starts Bo, gets dropped Kaisa. That is, you love to see that if you're Kiyun.
I mean, this was like the start in PvE. You know, it's just want to point out that a lot of people were like, man, your board was so cool from playing Kaisa and Anima Squad. And I'm like, you guys really didn't play PvE, did you? I'll take the compliment, but still.
Yeah, Dan's way up there in the conversation of who has the most tech for sure.
Oh,
as well.
for sure. I think Dan might have the widest tech.
Yeah.
I don't think that Dan has.
I have too much tech, actually.
The depth of tech, you know, as like Solus does on Viego, for example, or as Sub does in certain parts of the AP tree. But
oh my God, Vayne!
It's a starter pack. We just need the Neela. This would be a great time to get Three's company.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, obviously, like no frontline units yet, which isn't too great, but you have the 2/3 cost.
I'm gonna play this Nasus and just get a Galio 2 in next shop, and then we're Bing chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, Galio's really good. I think the early Anima squad could also be really valuable. So any Anima squad that you can kind of pair together would be really strong. Also, I think that you know, you can always buy Wukong Poppy, try to play that as a front line.
Yeah. People
forget, you know, yes, mascots, brawlers, very strong early game right now in the set, but defenders also can do work if you two-star them especially.
Kiyun just does not want to hold front line units. Okay, here we go.
Right, I like that he sold the Lux pair.
Like, what are these items? Is it Axiom?
Yeah, I don't think it's Recon's bad.
It's not Recon. You could reroll here, actually.
Yeah, I think Axiom or reroll.
How good is Axiom in this line?
For which what?
For Kaisa?
It's mediocre, because you actually want more upfront instead of kill condition. I think if this was like later in the game, he could get away with taking something like Mech Crest and playing around it, but I just don't think it's very good right now.
I'm rerolling then.
So I'm down to either take Axiom Mark or reroll. So the thing about Axiom Mark is that he can actually just play Star Guardians. Axiom Mark is actually really, really powerful on Talia because she is able to snipe backline units, and then she'll immediately double cast as if she has Mana Zane. And everyone knows that if you are able to double cast on things like Misfortune and Talia, you're going to destroy a lot of things.
I feel like that's the kind of augment position that a lot of players, as the set goes on, are really going to learn how to play around. Right now, a lot of people are holding their rerolls for the hero augment just because it's the new thing. It's sort of the unknown thing. But that seemed like a great position where all those augments kind of locked you. I would kind of reroll to kind of open the field up a little bit here, especially as you learn like the tailoring of the hero augments as well.
Right.
I think having to be kind of stuck into this Axiom Arc line is really restricting where you can go.
Well,
Interesting.
So I actually look at it the other way. I think Axiom is really generic, but it's weaker power on generic. So you can play it with Kaisa, and it's probably okay. Dan was talking about Talia as a line. He's got 2/1 Anima online, and probably the best Axiom user is MF because she oftentimes kills a bunch of units, and then she'll just recast right away. So I think there's quite a bit of potential options for Kiyun in this game. I just think that it's probably not the best augment for what he wants to play because MF is weaker. If MF were stronger in the meta, right, if this were a previous patch, like before we took the nerf bat to MF as a unit and Anima Squad as a trait, I think I would think this is like an S tier augment selection here.
Yeah, I think we'll tell a lot. We'll see a lot what he's thinking based on his carousel here. Because if he picks like Rageblade, then he's probably just thinking Kaisa reroll. But otherwise, you know, he picks up like JG or something. Maybe he's thinking more of Talia.
I think that even if you were trying to thread the needle and stay open to both lines, you still want to make a jewel gauntlet.
Yeah,
I think Kaisa being able to crit off her plasma application is such a big deal.
I agree.
Yeah, if you're needing to go vertical recon, because a lot of those, you know, you want Vayne and Kaisa on the board, but it's not really worth playing it as in a match just for your ability to laser crit when you can just make a JG.
I also don't want more bows here. Not that I think Kiyun's likely to have a ton of optionality. Oh, maybe Willow's taking a bad loss here. But just bow economy in this comp, right? Because he already got one and he's built it in the Shiv. You really only want one more in Rageblade, and it's not even like a necessary item, so I'd much rather have an abundance of gloves.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, well, we'll see. Kiyun started off kind of strong and then took a pretty big loss. Checking on somebody else here. Let's look at Kuram X. I feel like we haven't really watched him a lot, partially because... Oh, okay, never mind. We can't do that.
That explains it.
That explains. All right, right. That's right, because we're pulling the feed directly
Pulling
from the
feed
PC.
directly
He's
from
not
the
pulling here.
PCs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else?
Actually, I want to see Dish Soap's spot, because we didn't get to check in on him too much last game, but I mean, he played it super, super well.
Oh.
Okay.
This is going to be an instance where the chances that Solus pays for being so friendly with his competition is quite high, because I know for a fact that Solus gave a full download to Dish Soap on how to play the Viego line. This is such clear Viego direction with the early Talon 2 with the JG plus a sword for a potential BT, and he's going to be able to play around all of the kind of Aux Force core units plus Renegades. So it's just it's like best case scenario for getting into Viego. So I think Dish Soap is already insane, probably didn't need the help from Solus, but Solus definitely gave it to him, and it's going to pay dividends for Dish Soap and hurt Solus in this game.
I mean, Iniko level to 5 with Hustler, plays his teammate. Iniko's not streaking. He ends Dish Soap's streak, who had Fiora too. So this is kind of a disaster for Team Squink in the Sink.
I was going to call that out. Yeah, team-wise, that was really rough. I really like makeshift armor. I think that's being undervalued a lot, especially in the early game right now, especially as that 2-star Fiora. It's just like you said, the fact that Iniko leveled, that really cost him there.
Yeah, and that's what Iniko should do, right? Hustler is specifically designed for that. There's no reason to make gold, and you can just kind of push your tempo that way, spike that forecast.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, you know, it is a duo's tourney, but you can't really make your decisions solely based on that fact, right? Because there's like 3 other people or 4 other people you can play there, and it's just a little unlucky.
Way easier in the late game to do it than it is early.
Exactly.
One thing, by the way, just want to tie the point that Bryce said before. Dish Soap and Solus conferring is actually quite common. They're in the same practice group, which is something that I found out like a couple months ago, which was surprising. It's like Dish Soap. Wow, another 2-star unit.
Upgrades.
It was Dish Soap, Solus, and like Pokygom, and I was like, wait a second, these are just like the best tournament performers in North America, alongside like Milk and Sox.
Yeah, okay, and then we see Ray playing around the Jax. So has Cluttered Mind. I can't imagine. I mean, I guess he could reroll Jax Cluttered Mind, right? Because
yeah, you could. I just don't think
Titans,
I don't think he will when he slams Titans.
Yeah, agreed.
Right. So he had first pick of items if you wanted to play the Jax. Which, by the way, I think I would want to play Jax from this spot.
Where do you think
you think you can't play Jax with Titans?
You can play Jax with Titans, but if you have the choice in that situation, you would much rather go Jeweled Gauntlet or go. It's also half of a Rage Blade potentially, right? Like you could go for BT here. I just think there's a lot of better slams if you want to play Jax specifically.
Interesting. I don't know if I entirely agree with that premise, but you're not the first person to tell me that. So
I feel like with this set too, Cluttered Mind is an augment that a lot of people aren't really as familiar with now. How to play around that's going to be rough, and Raditz in particular, we'll have to see if he can adjust to it. Also kind of interesting, not to call back the data here, but it's Clear Mind looks pretty decent in the data, whereas Cluttered Mind actually looks surprisingly bad, which is very interesting.
If anything, I always felt like Cluttered Mind just on paper would be the better version.
Correct.
You get the extra econ and you get to hold all of your units, and so you get to be, board strength. Not that Ray's hitting any upgrades, right? Ray's holding like every unit on planet Earth, and he has no upgrades on his board. Meanwhile, Dish Soap is under leveled and has full upgrades on 2 cost. He's 2 costs upgraded, so there's no justice.
Oh gosh.
Ooh, okay.
Speaking of no justice.
Yeah, Ray making his board a lot weaker here to try to make sure the 5 streaks into Krugs, but unfortunately plays Dish Soap, who is just going to 5-0 him.
I think actually it's totally fine because he was most likely not even going to kill a unit anyways, so I think that's actually exactly within his calculation range.
Oh, I feel like that Jax would definitely kill a unit. I mean, I don't know what the...
it was 2 stars across the board.
I don't know. Okay, and Dish Soaps. I mean, yeah, I guess Dish Soaps specifically.
Kurum win streaking again. I think he was the only 100 streaker last game too, right?
Yeah, but that's textbook Kurum.
Yep.
Loves forcing win streak, and he's usually really good at converting off of it. It looks like he's in his comfort zone. This is a Jax. This is a mech Jax if he wants it soon. A lot of people also point out as Quicksilver being one of the most important items onto Jax as well right now. And I think Quicksilver in general is the most underrated item in the game in the current set.
Yeah, I think the generally accepted quote-unquote BIS Jax right now is probably like JG Hodge QSS. I think people love that.
I think that version. I've also seen the Rage Blade BT QSS version. It probably depends a lot on lobby matchups and whether or not there's going to be enough burst to get through the Jax where the shield's going to pay a lot of dividends, and also how much scaling inevitability you need. Also depends if you hit the hero augment or not, right? If you hit the hero augment, the carry hero augment, you definitely don't need Rage Blade. If you don't hit it, Rage Blade can be very important for that ramping.
Yeah.
was talking to Disto about it, and I tend to agree with his analysis, which is that it actually doesn't really matter as long as it all works together. It's actually kind of what Appy's does. Appy's approaches a lot of itemization and board setup based off like how things play off each other, as opposed to just like what is generically the best item slot. So it's like if you have something like Sunfire Cape, you inherently want to end fights a little bit quicker. And so you end up taking more front-loaded damage to try to like burst through quickly.
Yeah, one of the like underexplored in general by most players parts of TFT is just like what direction resources send you in, right? Because like people on a surface level, right? Like Makeshift doesn't say like, hey, it's not like a Bruiser +1 where it says, okay, play 4 Bruiser this game. But it is very similar in like if you have more raw HP on your board, you're gonna get really rewarded for that if you're playing Makeshift, right? So there's a lot of like that with items as well as augments.
Yeah, and that's what I think is another approach to a thinking person's TFT game. Why are you laughing?
Oh, I mean,
are you a thinking player?
What I was thinking about?
Appy's is a turn brain off, copy, guide, follow, stats player. It is known.
No, I thought it was funny, right? Because, you know, you think thinking players TFT, but then like I was like, okay, well, Solus would never do that, right? But then Solus was thinking so much. He thinks so much outside of the game, like before the game, right?
That's
so, like,
true.
he can just kind of autopilot in it. So it's an interesting dynamic.
True. Solus does all of his thinking outside the game.
Yeah, maybe I should do that.
Augment selection here for Robin. Looks like he's going for Sunfire board. Yeah, medium. Not the best, not the worst.
So the Sunfire board, what allows Zoe to kind of free up an item slot if he wants to commit to this. At this point, I'm not entirely sure what Robin wants to commit to. It looks like he's like consulting Kiyun as well. Prankster emblem offers Solus.
Yeah, I thought the Prankster emblem start for Solus was really interesting because again, he clearly has some favorite lines, and Prankster doesn't really lead into that well.
It does for the way that he thinks about the Viego board. So when something else that he was telling us earlier is that when he plays Viego as a drain tank, he thinks that the only bad matchups are AP matchups. He thinks that the AD matchups are super free because you burst through them, but the AP boards keep you like catching strays, and so. The Prankster emblem, because he's always going to wind up with Echo on his board, or he winds up with it a lot of the time.
Just as a heads up, Ray surprised Solus. He said, "Solus, don't say." He surprised him with a Blitzcrank hook, and Ray Solus got punished, and the Jinx got pulled, but no one targeted, so she ended up living. And now Ray is mad at Solus for exposing him in chat. Ooh.
Yeah, Ray winning, or Solus winning no homie points for that one. That kind of a rat move, calling him out like that. Also a rat move for having hook, though, I guess.
True.
Right?
Yeah, which one's more rat? On the rat,
I mean,
the rat power
bad.
rankings, who's higher?
Dips.
Yeah, I don't think there's any winner there.
I feel
think
like
they're
the
just double
tattling is the bigger
rats.
rat here.
Okay.
I don't even think that's a rat move. It's a different animal. It's not rat. It's
If you're riding on a rat,
it's a rat.
right? Like, isn't that?
Oh, that's true.
So
I
it's
guess
rat
so.
squared.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask Kiyun in between games. The resident rat expert is present for us, so we can get some cutting edge analysis.
He's
of this
literally
situation.
ratting. Okay, that makes sense, I guess.
Speaking of Kiyun, we're going to get to see his board for a while. Looks like he rolled on 3-2, given that he's a little bit on the brook side, maybe not actually. But he's struggling. He's, lost a meaningful amount of HP down at 51. He's going to take a fight loss here, it seems.
Yeah, being 30 gold and no Kaisa 2 is something that Kiyun definitely didn't want to happen in this game. I mean, obviously, but starting with a Kaisa and then not having it 2-starred with, like, middling econ on 3-3 is not exactly what you're looking for.
He does have Jeweled Lotus and Axiom Mark, so his setup for AP, if you want to play Spellslingers, in this case he's holding a Sirach on the bench, does have some options there, but he doesn't have much HP to play with, and I feel like based off the way the momentum of the lobby is going, that's going to be really punishing. There's a Zed with the bow, by the way, on the carousel.
Oh, also, cool note is that
neither player's taking
What is
it?
happening?
Oh,
Okay.
Kiyun leaving it for Robin?
But Robin doesn't even want to play Zed. Well, I guess he can. Never mind, he can. He's got the blue buff Zoe. He can easily flex into the kind of prankster version of the line.
Kiyun still hasn't picked an item.
There's also
whose first pick he still hasn't chosen.
There's a Talia the tier there too, so we can kind of say he's probably not leaning towards that now, right?
Yep.
If he's not grabbing that Talia.
Kiyun, you are lost, my guy. You need to find some direction and go into it. Let's hop on over to Ray, by the way, who's on 8 loss.
And Ray is just going to play Jax from here. I can't name a single other unit in the game that possibly wants RFC and Titans.
play Zed.
Actually, Belveth is literally one of those units.
You're right.
But I think it's a good call that, going anything crazy like, oh, I'm going to pivot to like Belveth threats.
Zed here, does he want it?
Zed could theoretically use the items.
He doesn't want the Zed? Okay. So maybe he's just thinking really Belveth or Jax.
What? Oh, he is dizzy.
We are dizzy.
And I don't blame him.
Yeah, playing good TFT is hard.
Well, Cluttered Mind specifically, I mean, kind of true to its name,
Okay, so
is
it's just
difficult
Jax.
for that reason.
I mean, the fact we're not buying the Bel'Veth here clearly shows that, like, he's tunneled. This is the Jax comp. He wants to make this Jax comp work. He's really going to need to hit that Jax 2 very quickly, hopefully to stabilize and get out of this loss streak here.
Sox has been the most successful Drax player so far in the tournament. He was saying he really thinks of it as a tempo comp. He likes to play it from ahead a lot, does not like to play it from behind. It's everything where if you get dropped an early Jax from a box, it's so powerful as a potential item holder that can also become your carry, especially if you wind up getting the tailored Jax augment. So this is not comfort zone for Ray. This is not something he's been playing a lot of this tournament, and I'm not sure I agree with the itemization. I'm not sure I agree with the commitment to the line at this point, but it is what it is. He's just trying to salvage and get as many points as he can and hope that dog can score a few more points this game, because I think Ray is playing for like a top 6 at this point. We all agree?
I think so. He's playing for placements. I also think that his setup for Jax is also not very strong, even if he does 2-star Jax, because part of what makes the Jax line so good is that I'm pretty sure every combat augment is good for this comp, and he has 0 of them. So I think his spot, even if he, like, let's say he 2-stars his entire board, I'm pretty sure he's just bought 4 anyways.
I feel like if the hero augment is, you know, the 3-4-5 and we get a lot of the 3s, and he manages to get the Jax carry augment from this position, I could see that turning into a top 4.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
We
You can also
did
get
see-
Leona as well. That's pretty good.
Yeah, we saw it with Milk the first game of the day, right? Like, Jax 2 was stable the entirety of, like, stage 4 and 5 for him. And they just went 9. And, you know, I'm sure he did not win the game, but he also didn't reroll Jax, right? He had Jax 2 and then pivoted off into the Mordekaiser last second. So maybe he went out. Who knows?
Well, just get a
Dream
win
big.
here.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like what you said. Like, if he just lands in that 6th place range, try to hope that dog can stabilize.
It's not good
That's
TFT,
not
that
good,
little
though.
copium.
Well, dog ended up losing as well.
Only win streaker is Solus. Kyun bottoming out HP right down there with Ray. Dog at 57. Fairly, you know, wide gap in the middle, right, between the bot 4 and the top 4.
Yep.
Dog's
Kyun
board
seeing
is
it,
stuck
yeah.
on Talia pair. He has a Mana Zane. Okay, so he's waiting to see what items he can get, but the problem with Dog is that he's playing an all 1-star board. We're gonna see some big roll downs. Let's hop on over to Dog's POV if we can, see what if he can make something happen from his perspective. Oh, 10 gold. That's actually fine. That's actually pretty good for Ray.
Okay. I mean, you got to imagine he's trying to play around this Talia, right? He just needs one more, he 2-stars it. Really decent items for it, too, so if he can get it going.
Oh, he does hit it. Oh, and the echo.
That
I mean,
is massive.
The single best shot you can see in this spot.
Yeah.
100%. He has a Sejuani he can also just play as. Oh, he's going to play the
We want to move the
Gadgeteen.
Mana Zane as well, right? We just go Hodge, JG, Mana Zane?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, but we have the tier.
I'm all.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Oh,
you can go.
Hodge.
I think you can actually just like slam Chalice here, like Mana Zane. The,
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he actually had a couple of options. He could have gone Mana Zane and then make like Shield Breaker, which is also a really powerful item for Talia in particular because she does go through frontline all the time. And then he could have popped the tier off, maybe blue buff like Zoe, right? Kind of swap these items around. Another thing that he can do is make Chalice. And I think Chalice is a really slept on item, specifically in Spell Slingers, because then every one of them just becomes so high with the base AP, and Spell Slinger does that extra damage.
Yeah.
Is it every, what, 3rd auto? 5th auto? I
it's
don't
every
know.
5 seconds.
Every 5 seconds, sorry. And so you actually make like these random like Lux 2, just all of a sudden deal like 3k damage a fight just with their autos.
Oh, Sleepy Time is potentially really good here.
Yeah, super strong augment. It does make the Zoe too, so right? Or does he have Zoe on the
Yeah.
bench? Yeah, so
No, he
Oh, it's
has
Andy on
to
bench,
pick it up.
okay.
Okay.
No, he has to pick it up anyway, so he can just move the Mana Zane first.
Controversial opinion, I want him to reroll this and get the Sona one that gives mana. That thing with his setup is insanely powerful. Borderline broken in my opinion. But Zoe's a very safe pick as well.
I do want to call out here that that was a 3-3-3. So we talked about Raditz earlier.
That's true, that's
Possibly
true.
getting
Yeah.
the Jax. So that really increases his odds of seeing that Jax, and that might be the comeback we want
Wow,
to see. for
more
Raditz.
make it less obvious, bro.
Got to cheer on my
It
boy.
could have been a 3-4-4, and then he
Yeah,
gets
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but instead you just get him with a 3-3-3.
I love this Hodge Slam
Chalice.
as well.
Kuko.
The
Yeah.
big thing with this Hodge Slam, right, is he's playing around Ascension. He wants a little longer fight. Sleepy Time's going to help that immensely. And then the Hodge just keeps Talia alive to get to Ascension. And then, you know, she's going to hit in certain matchups, like this matchup or against the Zed.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a Talia, that's a Kaisa. But you know what I mean. So keep her alive and get her to Ascension, which is what she needs.
This all
My
just makes
God.
so much sense. And this Mana Zane
my
item,
God.
people.
Oh, can I say
Please.
so? Mana Zane, Star Guardian. So a lot of people don't realize that the Mana Zane says, you get 150 mana. That does interact with Star Guardian. So if you can get 3 Star Guardian or 5 Star Guardian in, that can give you, 200. Obviously, he's not going to play 7 Star Guardian from this position, but there are some really wild interactions with Star Guardian and that item.
Which is, kind of going back to what I was saying, if you build on some of these mana-based strategies. That's why we're talking about Axiom Arc in particular. It was really, really strong.
True.
Well, what are you giggling about?
What you guys were having this intense conversation. Dog was deciding whether or not he wanted to hold the 2 Sonas, eventually go for Sona 3, or not buy them. So he just at the last second just buys one, so he doesn't make econ, and then just immediately sells it afterwards. So he just casually lights the gold on fire.
He's making it
fair. He's making it less obvious.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Okay, very relatable human TFT moment.
Exactly.
This is just TFT pros at the start of a set. It takes them a little bit to ramp up and really learn it.
TFT is one of the games where it's just sometimes the more you fiddle with your units, your positioning, your bench, with your shop is it's gonna cost you. You gotta be hands off sometimes.
Yep. And this was some of that prep before the game, with Solus just finding a couple lines that he likes, can be really, really useful, right?
It's true. I mean, I'm talking more about there's a lot of TFT players that just like to fiddle with stuff, right? They rearrange their bench, they rearrange their units, they click their items. Sometimes they just make mistakes. They accidentally put an item on a bench unit, or they sell a unit by accident.
accidentally replaced a Lee Sin 1 with Lee Sin 2.
Yeah.
Or Lee Sin 2 with Lee Sin 1 earlier. I accidentally locked a shop and then demanded a remake.
Well, I think it's related, though, right?
and then won the game.
I think it's related, because everyone has a certain amount of mental capacity in a game of TFT. And if you're using a lot of that to try to figure out your macro, then your micro is going to suffer.
True, fair enough. Balance in all things.
Exactly.
Except the game.
We didn't get... Okay, there's our view. I wanted to see Raidus. Okay, so Raidus did get one of the Jax augments. We want to see which one that is at some point. I'm hoping it's the carry one, because I feel like if he got the carry one, that's going to cover a lot of the weaknesses of his Jax comp.
Right,
What,
right.
The evasion what color is the carry one?
Purple. It'll be purple.
So he has the evasion and dodge. 2 Viegos he just rolled past.
So a
Soul's
little
rolling
unfortunate
over his
here.
grave.
It's not that evasion is bad by any means, but I feel like with these items, the carry one would have given him the ramping he needed to win some of these late game fights.
Completely agree with that. Will say that I saw 2 Vayne augments picked, and I don't think either of them were Kiyun. So I think that means that you have 2 people who went into Knight, which means that there's going to be at least 2 Zed players in the lobby, and evasion is disgustingly good into Zed.
Yeah.
And here's one of them. Oh, and this is a Zed player, actually, or this is someone with a Zoe augment. So there might be 3 Zed players in this lobby.
This is Robin, his team. Kiyun's teammate, and then Ray is on the correct side of dodging, but you do want the Jax to jump onto the Zed as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think the big issue here, where Jax does traditionally win this matchup, but he also has no healing.
No healing.
Which can really, really swing things.
Yeah, and that's part of the combat augment thing we talked about, right? Some of the combat augments is healing, some of it's just Jeweled Lotus, some of it's Battle Mage and Knife's Edge. Ray, unfortunately, is kind of stuck in the worst of every option now.
I also think this all goes back to 2-1, or sorry, 2-5, when we were talking about his itemization selection, where he slammed the Titans, and I said, I think he's not going Jax, because I can't imagine why Jax would prio Titans in this spot. If he was going to go Jax, which seems like has been his game plan the whole time, I think he just made a crucial error about itemization in that moment. I think that he was first pick on the carousel. He could have done for whatever he wanted, and he optimized for an item that Jax does not need right now.
Well, his items just don't really synergize together.
Right.
If you do go Titans, then you kind of need something like Bloodthirster, because you're implying that Jax wants to get into the fray and draw aggression, but then he made RFC because he got double bow. It's a little bit of a tricky spot.
And if you want JG, then you want other crit. So it's just there are a bunch of Jax itemizations that work. It's just this is not one of them.
Right, you can't just combine the 3 different itemization paths and call it a day.
Especially with the units he's playing around the Jax, so the BT is worth so much for the extra HP from Brawler,
Yep,
right?
totally.
So missing that is definitely hurting him. But I mean, wasn't he just beating Q for... Oh, actually?
Maybe.
I don't think so.
He's scaled
I don't think so.
It's I call him
Dead.
Oh no. It's okay. It happens, and I guess Ray just ended up being in a tough spot, and you could see he wasn't even getting colored mind value towards the end because he needed to roll.
I think lack of familiarity with the line is the big thing that I sensed from Ray in this game, and he's been. I was complimenting him actually heading upstairs going into the finals about how wide he's played. That he's actually been one of the most versatile players in the game. His board last game was so creative and interesting. He's playing really hard TFT, and sometimes that means you're going to make some mistakes because you can't know everything as well as Solus knows how to force Viego.
Exactly.
So the opposite end of what we described was Like, we talked about how Ray's setup was awkward because he had no combat augments in his itemization. Dish Up is just showing you, even if you do have some of those things in place, it can still be tough, but he's using Jax as an item hole until he can get to Viego. And that's what makes such an interesting dynamic of, like, what he's trying to do right now.
I think we were talking earlier, or maybe this before, but this hit the Viego, but of how rolling level 7 is pretty big in the meta right now, and like sometimes players will just hit and sometimes players will just miss, right? And I'll say maybe Dish Soap was on the missing side of that, where like he sent it for 7 to try to get stronger and just did not see a Viego, did not see the Z2, and is maybe struggling just a bit here.
He was struggling to this point, but I think this is a really big inflection into his current game plan. I expect him to actually be fairly competitive in some of these fights, but he's not positioning. It is one of the very few knocks onto Dish Soap's gameplay. He is very methodical and therefore slightly slow at times. And he got shrouded. He got sleepy time.
I just think he's kind of dizzy.
Yeah, it's a hard transition. He's not hitting the units he needs to be hitting. Yeah. And, I mean, just 2 1-star carries at this point in the game, right? It's 5-1. It's way too late to have these 1-star carries.
And Dog's super stable after hitting that Talia.
Oh, no. Nico is also not doing well. Oh, gosh. This is one of their worst results all tournament.
Yeah. I think they only had 1 lobby, if memory serves, the whole 9 games where they qualified, where they both bottom forward.
Right.
Yeah, trying to find that Z2, and it's just not showing
This
up.
is exactly what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
It just feels so bad to watch because we've all been in these spots, and Dish Soap is playing it the way you have to, right? He's making the decisions correctly. He's just not hitting.
Unfortunate. So hopefully, in his mind, it's kind of weird because he wants to try to play for like this 5th, but it's up against his teammate, and so he has to feel like he can't position specifically against Iniko. And it is.
But you know, the bright side here is that if Kyun dies, that means at least one of them is guaranteed the 5th, right?
For sure.
Fair
That's a great point. Yeah, they're definitely rooting against Kyun right here. I was gonna say sometimes you position based on if one of you has an actual like win out possibility from here, but looking at Nico's board, I don't know. And Nico was on 2 lives actually, his last stand. So this is actually the way that they both stay alive.
Pause champ?
Any chance Kyun died?
Oh,
okay.
Kyun did die.
That worked out real well.
That worked out, yeah,
Okay.
so well.
Wait.
And this is...
that was great.
I would bet a lot of money this is where we end.
hold
last
on.
stand, some value here?
Where'd that gold come from?
I mean, actually, yeah, the Sedge 2,
Hustler,
the Smear
Hustler.
2, there's some really strong stuff on Nico's board here, so he's not out of it yet.
Yeah, the question is it strong enough to win out? Last stand is definitely a win out type of augment, but
Man.
I'm not sure that this board state is one that I look at and say
No,
naturally
certainly
lends
certainly
itself
not.
to.
We saw Nico, or excuse me, Dish Soap win with Last Stand, earlier this weekend.
Yeah.
But that was a much stronger
Interesting.
capped out board.
It's a stronger capped out board, but I think his board is still competitive to at least win a couple fights here. It's about whether or not he can continue that curve.
Yeah, it's just the gap between Dish Soap and
Between,
Nico
like,
right
5
now.
fights.
Yeah.
45 versus 9-1 is just so rough here.
Oh no, you're seeing like the reverse effect of Prankster. Prankster just gave Viego all these resets very easily.
Oh, and now the Sedge is getting... Oh, okay, they didn't even get the
Alright,
reset
never
off
mind.
Leo.
He's not even gonna beat Solus.
It's not looking
We
great.
did appreciate your hopium, Dan.
I mean,
Wait,
his
Samir
board
cast?
is
Samir
strong.
Oh, never mind.
His board's not weak. Like, that's like the crazy thing about it is that I'm pretty sure his board's top 3 in the lobby in terms of strength right now. But it's just he's going up against like another person that's even stronger.
And Dish Soap ends up falling out in 5th
And
as well.
Kurum and Solus, once again, the only team with 2 players in the top 4. Our wild card team putting on a clinic in the finals.
It's true. In true TFT tournament fashion, the storyline that has the worst for production value, because Kermit isn't here, ends up doing the best.
So, Dish Soap, we actually talked earlier in the game about the meta being, oftentimes if you're behind, you just roll it deep on 7 and you just like have to hit your upgrades. So this is one of those games where you just could not hit. Close to the mic.
This is known, but this Kyun guy is actually the biggest rat. He's like going guaranteed 7th, and there's a spat Zed that like I get that I actually just win the game, or like I go like top 4. He just takes it and goes 7th, just to hurt me. Like,
It's true. It's true.
man.
Unlucky.
First time.
Wait, did you see Kyun start? He had Vayne, Kaisa,
Out of boxes.
Tier,
with
Bow,
Tier Bow
Rod.
Rod. But his first augment was a little bit tricky.
Yeah, it was miserable.
It is what it is. Oh God, this Viego.
Solus
Diego
does
is
it
so
again.
That's kind of the big problem with things like Zeke's and Chalice in this set. Yes, the effects are powerful, but clumping this set feels extra bad compared to recent memory. I can't remember a set where it felt like clumping was this punishing.
So you may be wondering why Solus' board is so strong, and the reason is because he has 4 fawns. Count 4 fawns right now, according to him. he was telling Bryce and I earlier that you have 4 core units for Viego, and all the rest are just fawn.
Okay, what are do you want to say the core units?
It's what? It's Viego, Alistair,
Talon.
What's the last one? Is it Echo?
Like
Leona.
I guess, is a
It
renegade.
gives,
Oh, yeah,
it gives
yeah.
Aegis, 2 Ox Force, 3 Renegade, and then you flex from
Yeah.
there. If you have Ox Force emblem, it sounds like you almost always want to go 6. Same basically for Renegade emblem if you can find it and get it online. There's lots of duo carry options. We've seen a lot of players play Zed. Actually, it's not how Solus prefers to play the line, but you definitely can play it. It synergizes really well because the Viego punishes clumping and the Zed punishes not clumping essentially.
Yeah. So if you're a Viego, or if you're a Fawn fan, play Viego and you get 4 of them for free.
Fawn fan.
The funny thing is, the 4-unit board looked like it would win fights.
It would.
Yeah.
For sure. Units are pretty good.
More talk over under and how long it takes for TFT players to stop calling it Force of Nature or Fawn.
Oh, right.
I am hoping within a set or 2, but you know how it is. Legacy stuff is hard to change. I mean, we're still seeing people on the desk call it Nikos.
I think you
Or
need to
like
wait
GA.
for the second generation of TFT players.
Who
quite
didn't
frankly,
actually play that.
Yeah. When my daughter grows up and
Versus
becomes
Ryan.
a TFT superstar
Yeah.
and
Well, I
faces
mean,
Ryan in North
even
American
like
Finals
Rain-
in set 29, that's when they will have never even known what Fawn was.
So Rainplosion actually has been a good example of this, though. Rainplosion has come in kind of late, and I see some of her terminology be a lot more updated than, say, Appies or you guys. So
He's just firing
He's
bullets
calling
at
us
the entire
old.
couch. He just bullet
He's
timed us.
old.
You know,
I
I
mean,
feel
if
good,
the
though,
shoe
'cause Robin
fits-
is in the
True.
room.
Solus.
Okay.
Edge of Night is pretty decent here.
Wait, and he also got.
on Mordekaiser.
I also
in
just realized that
particular.
he got Spark from
Oh, Leona.
Urgot.
Yeah.
So he just has Shred now.
Important to note that he had Urgot 2 and
He
did
had,
not type in
Mordekaiser.
chat.
Mordekaiser.
Yeah, but still.
yeah.
Sorry, what?
It's important to note that he hit Urgot 2 and did not type anything in chat.
Yeah,
so.
he said nothing.
Yeah.
Solus never says anything, actually. But he
definitely-
does complain about other people saying nothing.
No, what he said this game was he said that Ray had a hook. So he is like the rat in this game.
Oh yeah, no. Solus is dirty,
This is some
hard
scummy TFT.
forcing, trying to trick all the noobs with other information. Like,
Man, this Solus guy can't catch a break. He literally shares the tech that weakens his average
Oh.
placement, and now he's just catching flack for actually taking it seriously. But
This current board
oh, he
beats him.
lost. Dude, Kurum, Solus,
On
1-2.
off. Yeah. Interesting.
Seems like Robin's fallen off at this point. Can't beat anybody.
I mean, Robin's going. He went 5th game 1. He's going 4th game 2. He's just doing the Robin final
doing
lobby
Robin.
thing.
This is really Kiyun's fault when you think about it.
It's
I
true.
thought
Kiyun
you-
going 7th 2 games in a row.
Yeah,
is not helping his team.
Well, Kiyun's their first or 8th player, right? Kiyun's the guy that's got to play for these top finishes most of the time.
I processed that, Bryce. You saying like Robin's like falling off as a player. I was like, what? What? That was out of nowhere. What the? What was that?
No, I would never shoot shots at Robin. Only thing I can make fun of Robin is his age and his
Yeah, he's the
APM.
goat.
Which is
But
funny
otherwise-
because Bryce is older than Robin,
Yeah.
and Robin has more APM than Bryce.
Yeah,
Robin's been
exactly.
so consistent.
But if I continue to spread the narrative that that's not true, then I'm not the worst, right?
True.
Yep.
This Zed, by the way, no Edge of Night, no QSS, no nothing defensive, just pure offense.
Kind of kicking Chad though. He's doing a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not. Oh, actually,
Might
Oh.
does.
Zed goes. Oh,
Getting it done.
Zed wins.
It's so
Oh
close.
my
The block sometimes
God.
wins these. Does not, but
Yeah.
again, a solid 4th
Solus
place.
lost a dog. That's interesting. Kurum with the hotel buff.
Yeah.
No cam on Kurum, by the way. It could easily be like one me over there just in the hotel room dominating these
Flew him in.
noobs.
I mean, Kent left, so
Oh, that's true.
true.
I haven't seen Soju in an hour.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
man.
that can't possibly be it, though.
No. Surely not. Surely.
So are we having this Leona intercept the Zed backline, or are we sending the Leona last second the hacker? Is there anything like other complicated because we're not using the horse at all? Looks like he is. He's trying to
Yeah.
intercept it. Apologies for no game sound. We're using the player's PC. Looks like Dog has muted the game entirely to focus.
And this Gadget Team BT is far and away the best item he could have rolled here.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
The way it interacts with Warmogs as well as just the
It's
healing.
Leona.
from
Yeah.
God, this Talia.
Not that it really mattered, it looks like. 'cause
Yeah,
he just
dude.
destroyed this fight.
Boom.
when you can full sellout position for that fight, it's just Talia's going to win every time. And this Mana Zane is just so ridiculous. The first cast is going to chunk everything, and the second cast is going to kill everything.
Another thing worth noting was that we showed stats at the beginning of the day of how Talia Spellslingers has actually top forward like 90% of their games. The one game they didn't was played by yours truly.
Wow.
But
Can I get a new
is,
partner? I'm taking applications.
going back to what we were saying, it's pretty reasonable, and I'm really glad that dog knows this line. And he has blue buff Syndra, which by the way is also kind of insane.
Yeah, great way to cap out. Just 2-star 5+ on your bench and you're golden.
Oh, and he found. Okay, his bench can
Blue
pop up. This
Shojin.
is
Yeah,
so
he's gonna get
strong.
everything. Yeah, just literally put them all on the board. If this
And
fight
it's
lasts,
Mana Janna.
oh my god,
Holy crap.
Mana Janna, because it's raining outside.
it's raining outside
It
here.
is.
It's
It literally
raining
is.
outside in the game. Oh, he's blue
interesting.
buffing
Okay, that's
the
fine.
Leona.
That's also fine too.
Yeah,
Yeah, just wants to kill something.
She's not in the range of the mana thing. I think
she still casts super fast, but yeah.
She does. Shroud. I like to try the Leona as well. Got it.
Yep.
Huge. The thing is, the Urgot centered perfectly for this this ult to stun everything temporarily. We'll see if Talia can get the kills.
I'm confused. Why did we full clump this matchup? I totally understood why we full clumped the last matchup, but why did we full clump this one?
I think maybe he's getting a little bit baited by the Janna value.
Oh.
Which maybe we'll watch this fight and be like, okay, maybe next time we.
Yeah,
try
that's
to
like
unclump a
Giga
bit.
not worth. We need to really spread out. Viego plus Urgot is just such a punish for this full clump.
And the Echo got destroyed by the Leona on Solis' side there.
No,
so maybe
this is the matchup, though, I would
Yeah,
clump.
he should stay for this. Oh, Leona
Nice,
too.
nice. That's definitely worth. You can probably sell like one Mordecai. Oh. Okay, that works.
sure.
Okay. But yeah, this matchup seems quite good.
Did you see Kerm's TG?
What he really needs to do here is he needs to get the Echo in front of the Sejuani. Echo will cast because it's solo tanking, and it will dash through the Sejuani and cause Sejuani to ult actually backwards. That would make this like just gigabit positioning, but I think it's going to be tough. Although Kurum with TG, look at those
it's
Thieves
so
Gloves roll. Are you
punishing for
kidding
Kurum.
Oh,
me?
Leona
You
immediately
have to.
targets the Zed. And the Zed going down would be a big
Oh
DPS.
my
What the
God,
heck?
It just wiped the
Oh my,
whole...
Dong or Jay?
Boy, look at Dog's face.
Yeah, see, the thing is, right? Like if Mortals
It's the
TG like
Thieves
that,
Gloves, yeah.
you have to clump into the Zed matchup like that, but the more
Yes.
just punishes it, it's like a better Viego in that matchup, right? Because the Viego Zed board's so
my
good because you force pull in the clump, then Viego punishes. Mort is literally just better Viego in that spot.
All true, but if he rolls tank items
Yeah, no,
on
exactly.
the Thieves Gloves, then
Exactly.
that Mord ulti hits everything and shreds all of their MR, which
Yeah.
is not particularly relevant on a Zed board. And
Deathblade Declaw this round.
yeah,
You're
so-
telling me this guy rolls Death Cap
Yes.
JG with Jeweled Lotus on a Mordekaiser too?
Yeah, yeah.
Just
convinced.
one shot every board in the game.
yeah, literally, we were just talking about
I'm
that.
convinced TG is the best time in the
My
game after
God.
this week.
Yes,
Everyone has
yes.
been rolling the best TGs over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Maybe Setsuko shared his tech about how do you get a prismatic augment without being in a prismatic lobby, because he's kind of always had access to Setsuko gloves and Setsuko in shopping. But it feels
Yeah.
like everyone has Setsuko gloves this tournament.
Agreed. The TG like a very high priority item in this kind of environment. When you're
How much
deep
RP I
in.
gotta spend more to get those kinds of Thieves Gloves?
Ooh, more than you've got.
Oh, man.
Got more items for Solus too, just an RFC for fun.
Interesting that they're like, I don't know, like Solus and Chrome are teammates. They don't really
They're
have to
s-
super
They
switch.
are Giga Sweats. They are Giga
They're like
Sweats.
playing it out.
They did it last time too.
RFC Mordekaiser? Oh, it's time.
For some reason, Solus seems to think that if he continues to deny Kurum his first places, that Kurum will like keep popping off to try to get his first to the tournament. Because Solus has like 100 of these, and Solus comes down here and brags like Kurum still doesn't have a win. It's like he's on your team, bro.
Hold on, man.
Oh, that fiddle just destroyed the
Dude.
entire board. A lot of CC, and then
Okay.
Diego kind of finished everything off. I mean, a little bit HP left on Curran to finish it out, but I feel like maybe the positioning wasn't super great into the fiddle. But it's tough, right? Because if you don't clump, then like there's
Oh.
so many threats.
Oh, really
Crap,
good
too.
ward items again. That could absolutely
Yeah.
make the difference here. If
Also a
if
Shroud.
he crits. Oh wait, he can't crit. Wait, no, he can. He has Jeweled Lotus. Okay, so if he crits, this is gonna get really, really disgusting.
Yeah, also the Shroud on the field is not relevant at all, because the way Solus has to position his Battle Mage was inherently makes him a lot more clumped.
Yep, for sure.
Oh,
Kurum needs to pay
dear.
attention to that Shroud.
Oh,
He needs to get max
scary.
value. Okay, so he swaps it, and Solus doesn't.
right? And he actually shrouds some irrelevant units for the
Yeah,
most part.
really, really bad Shroud. Like, super, super low value. Here comes the Mordekaiser ulti. Where's it going to hit? And it's just completely whip. Oh, it does. It actually hit the Viego.
Oh!
Oh, Viego's still alive, though? Not anymore?
No, I don't think he gets
Fiddle's
it.
gonna have a lot of counter value here. It doesn't matter.
Hold on,
yeah,
1
yeah,
second.
it
This
doesn't matter.
Fiddlesticks?
It doesn't matter. This Fiddlesticks.
Wait, 1 second,
No.
1 second, hold on.
No.
Hold on, he's ramping sure shot.
Surely. No!
Uh,
Wow.
that was-
This soulless guy just wants to gatekeep his partner. Give him a win, Soul.